There is a weight everyone carries that no scale can measure. It is the pressure to show up, the stress to do things well, the guilt of rest or self-care, trauma that we carry from life's circumstances, and maybe the fear of falling short. Many of us do not even realize how heavy the weight of all this can be, but every time I step under the barbell, I choose a different kind of weight. The one that reminds me I'm strong enough to hold both. What weight are you choosing today? And is it helping you rise or holding you down? Welcome to episode 4 of Making Mel, Health in the Hustle. This podcast is a place where motherhood meets muscle, ambition meets exhaustion, and figuring out how to prioritize my health journey into the insanely beautiful chaos of my busy life is what I talk about. Some days it'll look messy, some days flawless, but no matter what kind of day I'm having, I can assure you, I will tell you the truth and do my best to give you some good ideas and insight that'll help you prioritize your own health journey. So let's get into it. You know, life gets lifey sometimes, and we get used to handling so much at one time that it can get difficult to recognize when things get really heavy. Expectations for parenthood, career, body image, and perfectionism add a layer of emotional weight that can be a constant pressure that grows, builds, and feels like it's crushing us. Then we add the internal dialogue that all of us have. It may include shame, comparison, fear of failure, maybe embarrassment because we're not the way we want to be, and that weight gets even heavier. On top of that, we have to juggle everything like we're perfectly balanced. Again, more weight. The trauma that we have experienced in our lives can also get heavy. So, with all this emotional weight, what are we supposed to do? Well, I'm a huge advocate for counseling. I did the biggest stretch, 7 years of counseling in my 20s to deal with trauma, but I've gone back at different times over the years to deal with grief or maybe some other issues. I would highly recommend counseling for anyone who needs it, and even people who think they don't. Counseling helps give you some perspective and insight from a neutral party. It allows you to develop additional tools that help you manage and overcome the heavy things that land on you in life. I thought that I had eliminated all of the emotional weight from childhood, but if you recall in my first episode, I talked about the night that I was sitting in my car and looked in the rearview mirror and I felt comfortable in my own skin. But if I'd ever felt that way in my life, I must have been too little to remember it. I'm going to give you some insight into how I ended up in that position that weighed me down so much. I began gaining weight and became the fat kid from the time I was about 6 or 7. I was a childhood rape victim. And what that did to my little girl brain was interpreted that small equals vulnerable. So I began to unconsciously create proximity. It's also another reason that I fell in love with heavy metal, because the smaller that I've gotten over the last 7 years, the more powerful I've become. For me, lifting weights took vulnerability completely out of the mix. Despite being impacted by emotional weight most of my life and creating physical weight as a result, I can tell you this. Emotional weight does not have to crush you or destroy you. It is not about the things that happen to you in your life. It is about how you respond to them. I think of emotional weight as strength training for your mind. A lot of the people that I've met in the powerlifting world have not had it easy in life. Many have experienced pain from childhood trauma or divorce, grief, bullying, many other areas. Often, unresolved pain or anger can be channeled when lifting, and I'm no exception. Sometimes it just feels good to slam the bar down after a lift. Controlled, of course, because public service announcement, Throwing equipment without having control of it is so not cool. Sometimes lifting heavy weights not only presses you physically, but there is definitely a mental game involved too. Progressive overload is the concept where you keep increasing or manipulating the weights that you lift so that your body's able to handle more weight. You keep building your capacity to handle more weight by lifting more weight. Progressive overload in powerlifting mirrors handling emotional weight in your life. You grow your ability to manage your emotional weight by digging in and sorting out the things that lie there. Emotional growth can show when you stop reaching for the bag of chips when the weight of things is getting to you. If you're a Weight Watcher, maybe you choose to take a walk instead of completely obsessing about the amazing cannolis that Coach Ricardo shared on his recent walk and talk through Little Italy in New York City. If we want to overcome the emotional weight of things, we have to be willing to look at the cause instead of using food or something else to feed it. You know, Coach Valerie says, "Are you hungry or is something eating you?" And we have to recognize the difference. Learning to carry the emotional weight instead of consuming it in half a cheesecake grows your ability to handle emotional weight without losing sight of your health journey. I channel my emotions or negative feelings when I lift weights. When I slam that deadlift bar down on that platform, or I'm picking up the big girl weights, anger, sadness, loss, vulnerability, they may all be part of that lift. For me, those are safe times to let myself feel and often let go of that emotional weight. Training your ability to manage your emotions requires the same level of discipline and effort that lifting physical weights does. You start slow, you remain consistent with your effort, and you build your ability brick by brick. Discipline is required when motivation wavers, and it will, whether it's physical weight or emotional weight. That's why the habits that you build are so important to your health journey. You have to be able to show up for yourself even when you don't want to. You know, I've had a lot of setbacks with injuries, and it's difficult to get back in after I've taken time off. I try really hard to focus on the fact that discipline is a form of self-respect, and I need to lift heavy stuff. When I lift heavy, I prove to myself that I can carry what life throws at me. Lifting is my way to reclaim control over my body and my story. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to show up and lift. Now, lifting weights may not be your thing. My friend Amanda walks daily, and there's a playground on the trail where she walks, and she goes and swings, and she finds joy that helps her overcome whatever she may be feeling in the moment. I sometimes jump on my rebounder. That's a mini trampoline. And I have to admit, every time I jump on that rebounder, I giggle. If I'm feeling emotional weight that day, it is the easiest way for me to lighten that weight immediately. The point is, figure out what works for you. There is a serious mind-body connection. When we do the physical activity, we help ourselves with the emotional weight. So, for today, ask yourself, what emotional weight are you carrying that you're ready to set down? Is there a tool that you have right now that can help you let it go? Do you have a physical activity that can maybe help you start to process through it? Would a support group or counseling be helpful? Jump on a Weight Watchers workshop because there is some major mindset work going on there in the virtual world. We don't always get to choose the emotional weight that life hands us, but we do get to choose how we respond. Whether it's lifting weights, or counseling, or going for a walk or a run, or swinging with reckless abandon. The weights that I choose reminds me that I'm strong enough to hold both, and so are you. So, by popular request, I have added a midweek check-in that follows up on the day's topic. If you have feedback, please hit me up on Facebook or Instagram or my email, which is makingmelhealthinthehustle@gmail.com. It's all one word smashed together. Otherwise, I will see you for Wednesday's weigh-in. Until then, onward and upward, my friends.